Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the ATA program today for our CLC Connection in honor of veterans. My name is Ashley Rosebrough. I serve as the program manager for ATA and the moderator for today's event. We will be diving into a great conversation with our honored guest, who I will introduce momentarily about their military career, education, transition into the workforce, and the importance of community involvement after service. But before we get started, I wanted to cover some housekeeping items. This is an opportunity for you to engage and ask our guests many questions. To do so, please utilize the chat box for questions and commentary. We will ask your questions out loud and answer them live during the event. Additionally, this event is being recorded and will be made available to you later to rewatch and share with your peers. Without further ado, let's get started. We are honored to have Mr. Warren Rosebrough. Baltimore native, Mr. Rosebrough is a retired United States Air Force First Sergeant, having served 26 years. He currently works as a contract specialist for the U.S. Air Force. He received his BS in management from Park University and MBA in project management from Grantham University. He also serves as president of programs for 100 Black Men of San Antonio. In addition to his community involvement, Mr. Rosebrough also serves as a mediator with the Alamo Federal Executive Board and a high school basketball official. Welcome, Mr. Rosebrough.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Ashley.
How's
everyone doing today?
We're good. We're good. Everybody in the chat, how y'all doing?
I'm good.
Good to see you. Good to have you all with us. So we're going to go ahead and get started into our conversation. I'm going to do my best to not refer to you as dad, because our honored guest is my dad. And so I'm going to do my best to code switch and everything. But my first question for you, Mr. Rosebrough, is what if you could be any insect, what insect would you be and why?
If I could be any insect, what insect would that be? That's an odd question, but I would probably say a caterpillar. A caterpillar. That way I could just take my time and go about life at a slow pace and not have to worry about any cares in the world. And I think caterpillars normally morph into a beautiful butterfly. So that's why I would be a caterpillar.
I saw 3 caterpillars on my walk today. So when it was like you're speaking to me spiritually. So I like that. I like that. And if you could have any other profession other than the one you are in now, what would it be and why?
If I could do anything else besides what I'm doing now, honestly, I don't know. I've thought of that question many times and can come back to the same answer. There's a lot of things that I'm interested in, but haven't really nailed down that one single thing that I would do, because you know the old saying goes, if you do something that you love, you never work a day in your life. So I haven't really nailed that down yet.
Okay, wow. So you are doing what you love now.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I like what I do, but I'm not saying that this is totally a passion of mine that I would do forever. Okay. If I could do something else, I would be doing that. That's something else. But I just haven't nailed down what that something else is.
All right. Well, I hope you get to do whatever that is. And I hope you find it. You find it. So 26 years in the military is no small feat. Share with us your educational background of who you are, what inspired you into a journey in the military, and to continue working for the military after service.
So yes, to take y'all back a little bit, after graduating high school, I joined the Air Force, and I joined the Air Force because I wanted to travel and see the world, and which the Air Force afforded me the opportunity to do that. My first career in the Air Force was air transportation, and I did that for 17 years in California, Okinawa, Misawa, Japan, and in Turkey. And during that time frame in Misawa, the first time I went to college, took a college class was on a bet from a friend of mine's wife. She had bet me that I wouldn't sign up for a class because I had been saying, I'm gonna take a class, I'm gonna take a class, and I never went and signed up. So my wife, she went and signed me up for my first English class behind my back. And she was like, hey, you start class on Monday. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I don't wanna let you lose that bet. So she signed me up. I took an English class, and I didn't take another class for 3 years. After Misawa, Japan, we went to Hawaii, and my supervisor in Hawaii, he wanted to put me in for some awards, but he's like, hey man, you need to take some schooling. So went to University of Hawaii, Pacific University, and took a couple courses there. And then went to Turkey and didn't take no classes in Turkey. Don't know why, just didn't do it. So after we left Turkey, I went to Hawaii. After we left Turkey, we went to Okinawa. And Okinawa, that's when I really started honing down on my education and started taking this seriously. And ironically, I had to take several classes that didn't count for any credit, just because I had been out of, it was algebra classes. I take 2 algebra classes that didn't count for any credits, just so I can get back into the swing of things. So went on and took a bulk of my undergrad classes while I was in Okinawa. And then we left Okinawa, transitioned to Guam. I continued my education. And when we got here to San Antonio, I finished up my bachelor's degree. So it took me roughly about 10 years or so from the time I first took my first class until I graduated to get my bachelor's degree.
Wow. There's so many layers to your educational experience. One, shout out to your wife, my mom, for signing you up and winning that bet. And you are a transfer student. In
Yes.
ATA program, we serve transfer students. So when you made the decision to all in for completing your bachelor's degree, what was that motivation? What were some motivating factors for you?
To complete my bachelor's degree?
Yes.
Well, probably the most motivating factor was to set a good example for my 4 daughters. And that was to, when you start something, you finish. So we have a saying in our household, if you start to go to college, you're gonna finish, no matter how long that takes. So that was one motivating factor. Then the other motivating factor was to show my subordinates that me as a senior NCO is setting that example for them. And I can't preach something that I'm not doing. So that was the other motivating factor, was for me to show them that, you know, no matter where you are in your professional career, you can still do this. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said, Mr. Rosebrough. So while you were completing your bachelor's degree, were you still serving at the time?
Yes. The whole time I was completing my bachelor's degree, I was still in the Air Force. And that comes with its challenges of its own, deploying and going, you know, different places throughout the world, leaving my family. So, and just working itself, being a military member. So, yes.
So reflecting back, what were some best practices that you put in place to manage your school load, manage your workload, and the demands that come with being in service and being a father and a husband?
Well, first of all, I couldn't do it without a good support system. My wife and my kids, they allowed me to do what I needed to do. We all had to make sacrifices. So there's been many times that I didn't start my schoolwork until 9, 10 o'clock at night when they were asleep. Or I took night classes and then coming home and having to, deal with the family, the issues with the girls, the wife, not issues, but just things. And you just have to make them sacrifices throughout life. And at the same time, testing for promotion. So we had to put some things on hold to focus on that. I'm sure Ashley could tell you that there's been many a times they saw me at the computer sleep with a book open, and they come in, "Dad, wake up. Oh, I'm reading. All right, get back on track and get up, walk around, and get back focused again." So,
apparently you still do it now. It's just no one's there to wake you up because you're an empty nester, but letting his eyes rest, definitely. And to shift to the work that you do now as a contract specialist, I know for many of our service people, our veterans, translating the work that they do in the military to a career outside of the military, out of service at least, how were you able to do that? And what would you say to a veteran student right now on making those connections and seeing those transferable skills?
So what I do now as a contract specialist for the Air Force is totally different from what I did while I was in the Air Force, especially my last 8 years as a first sergeant. As a first sergeant, that was more of a human resources career field, something that I enjoyed doing and something that I pursued as I transitioned out of the military. However, a friend of mine approached me and asked me, did I have certain qualifications, like a bachelor's degree and certain amount of credits within that and in business and during my undergrad. So I met those qualifications, and he said I should apply for this program that the Air Force had for incoming contract specialists called the Copper Cap program. So I applied for it and was selected, and that's how I got into this career field. But I would say to veterans who are looking to transitions, make those connections with the people you work with, the people you work for, and keep those lines of communications open, because you never know who knows somebody and who can help you get your foot in the door in whatever career field that you have. Case in point, for example, was a friend of mine was transitioning out a couple of years ahead of me, and he's in the IT field. And just so happens, someone that I used to work with was looking for somebody in the IT field. So I shot her his name. He applied for the job and he was hired. So you never know who someone else knows. So just keep those lines of communication open, and they may be open doors for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. The military network is so big, and that is a privilege that not many people are able to tap into, because we do our best to look out for our veterans. And if we know a veteran or somebody who's transitioning into the workforce, then it's a matter of, let me get them connected, let me get their name, let me get their information so I can better support them on their journey. So to hear that you were able to tap into your network and make those connections to help you transition. That is reassuring to hear. So thank you for touching on that.
But I will say this: the transition wasn't without its difficulties. I didn't get in immediately, and after I retired, there was a period of about 4 months where I was jobless. So the transition wasn't seamless, and so you just had to adjust and keep going out there and going to job fairs and keep putting those resumes out. Eventually something will work out for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to your work as a contract specialist, what does a day in the office look like for you now?
Oh, wow. Well, the day in the office right now looks like what I do cybersecurity contracts. So it's a lot that I can't talk in this forum, but meeting with program managers and engineers on what is the next thing that what we do to protect the United States. So a lot of meetings, a lot of negotiations with vendors, and yeah, that's what my day looks like.
Okay.
A lot of things I can't talk about in this forum because the nature of the business that I work in my particular organization.
Okay. To the best of the ability, can you share with us some of the certifications you had to get, whether that be for contracting or working in cybersecurity?
Well, for me, in contracting, I had to get level 1 contracting, level 2. Not so much as any technical certifications, just those, level 1 and level 2 contract through Defense Acquisitions University. So, however, we do hire, well, not hire, but we do contract people with very specific skill sets, such as software engineers, developers, people, in the IT field. So for those students out there who are looking to go into that IT field, I would strongly recommend that's a field that you get into, especially in the cyber world.
Absolutely. And if you need a connection, go ahead. Go ahead, plug Mr. Rosebrough. We have our first question from the audience, and thank you so much for asking. And to those attending with us right now, please feel free to ask as many questions as you would like, and we will do our best to get to all of them. Our first question is, what has been your biggest achievement throughout your career? Great question.
What has been my biggest achievement? I would say my biggest, as a military member or as a civilian now?
Go ahead and give us both.
Well, as a military member, I would say my biggest achievement would be reaching the rank of Senior Master Sergeant, which is a E8 in the Air Force. Outside of that, just trying to be a good father to my kids and husband to my wife. As I'm in the civilian world now, that's my biggest achievement would be just learning this profession as a contracting specialist every day, because it's so much to learn. And we have the, believe it or not, we have the whole defense budget at our fingertips, but we're only allotted a certain amount of funds to execute. So, yeah, contracts that I deal with is up in the $100 million range. So
that's a big budget. It's a very big budget. We have another question. These questions are so far so good. Keep them coming. What is a skill set you have picked up throughout your journey that you believe has become most essential throughout your life or career? Wow.
Connecting with people. It's probably one of those soft skill sets, but that's probably would be, I would say, the most successful skill set that I have been able to connect with people. And being a leader in the Air Force, I deal with a lot of different people from all sorts of backgrounds, and being able to connect with them and help to mentor them and help them grow. Sometimes you gotta tell them, the hard truth, but you do it in a way that it's not so it's easy to swallow, put it that way. So I would say that leadership skills, and yeah, so being able to connect with people and developing those leadership skills, I would say are the two that helped me out throughout my career.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the gifts and the spirit of connection as we connect today. What are some of your tips for connecting? Like, do you have a go-to tip? Do you have some things you keep in mind when you go in new spaces and meet new people? What are your tips for connecting?
Just be yourself. I usually just try to be myself, not try to be somebody that I'm not. People can usually see through that. If you come across a certain type of way, that's not me. I'm usually laid back, easy to talk to. So I just try to be myself, and you try to meet people where they are. People come from all different walks of life and different backgrounds. So you just try to meet them where they are, understand what they're going through, and just try to understand them. Not try to be judgmental, because we all have our baggage. So you just have to try to be personable, and be yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have another question from our audience. Do you believe you were able to get the work-life balance correct as you pursued your degrees while working, going to school, and raising your family?
Woo. That work-life balance is tough. I think I did an admirable job doing that. I try not to bring too much of my work life home. When I left work, got in my car to go home, that's where I left it. When I left work at work, when I got home, I was all in at home, taking care of the day-to-day household duties, and then, finding that time for yourself. And I think it's key. You gotta find that time for yourself. Throughout my career, I was very active in intramural football and intramural sports. So that was kind of my release, to get out there and do that. When my girls was young, funny story is I should take them to my football games. And there were times where they had to go to the bathroom. I'd be on the field, and Ashley, she was about two or three. Daddy, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I do a play, then run off, take care of them, and come on. But that was my release, intramural sports. That was my release to help me with that work-life balance and to stay focused.
Absolutely. I remember those days. I can say, just from my personal experience, you did an outstanding job of being there, of being present. 4 girls is no small feat, but you were always there. You always made yourself available, whether that was helping mom at night with homework and cleaning and cooking, and on the weekend, our activities, we were all in sports. And then on Sundays, you would play your football games and just being there at church. So you did an outstanding job of balancing that. I think you got it correct. So thank you. No, no problem. No problem.
I tried, you know, I may have fell short a couple places, but I tried, and actually bring up a good point about, being present, because, I coached them, her and her older sister in basketball. I used to coach flag football for some little kids when we was in Turkey. So I try to stay active in the community and giving back in that sort of way. But at the same time, make sure that, I took care of the business at hand of pursuing, getting promoted in my career and, making sure I took care of business at work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And being
But
present.
work was at work and home was at home. That's how I try to
Yes.
balance that.
Yes. That is a skill that it takes time to cultivate. So
Absolutely.
Well-
Some people can't do it.
yeah.
Some people can't do it.
What would you say to young men and women minorities that are interested in the military, but are on the fence about it because of racial inequalities we hear so much about?
I would say to them this. You go into the military, people go into the military for various reasons, be it education, to travel, to learn a specific career. You can only control what you can control. You can't control how other people feel about you. You can't control what they think. You can only control what you do. So you're going to have racial injustice everywhere. The military is a microcosm of society. So if you think you're going to join the military and not face certain things, then you're sadly mistaken. I wouldn't let that deter you because there's a lot of great benefits that the military offers. So I wouldn't let that deter you. But you just got to go in knowing that there may come a time where you may face some racism, or some colorism, or whatever isms they're out here in society. You're going to face that in the military as well. But you wouldn't stop pursuing a degree or a certain jobs just because of somebody's racism. So why not? So why stop joining the military because of that? You'll find far more people who are not racist than you will find who are racist.
And what about the subtleness of racism, like microaggressions and prejudices and biases? If you are open to sharing, did you ever experience it? And when they did come, how did you navigate?
Oh yeah, I can remember a time where I was up for it was called Airman of the Quarter, one of our quarterly awards that we had. And me and another guy, we was up for it. And our records were similar, but he got it. He got that quarterly award with knowing I knew I should have got it because I had more powerful stuff on my award sheet than he did, but he got it. And that was all right because as we went further in our career, at the time I made senior NCO, they was promoting 30% that year to what is called Master Sergeant. And I'm sure Ashley can attest to this. I spent 6 months studying, 8 hours a day. And that would have been the only stripe that I made first time I tested for. I made it. And that one guy who got that award over me, where he shouldn't have had, he didn't. So you just got to persevere and not worry about what happens, but you can only control what you can control. So you do everything that within your control, and eventually things will work out for you.
We stay gracious. I know that's not easy to do when you know you deserve, but to hear that you were able to persevere and to get it, and you navigate the inequalities of life, especially in the military, because you just can't up and leave when you have a bad day.
No, you can't.
You can't just, I'm not coming to work anymore. But to hear that you learn how to be gracious and to stay composed and self-controlled and poised during that, those are essential skills in any career field that you have, because like you said, it is everywhere. It's just in the military, you're in different circumstances because you sign your life away essentially to the government.
No, you're not going to say you sign your life away, but you sign up. You sign up knowing that your life could be on the line at some point in time.
Okay. And what recommendations do you have for a student who is interested in following a path similar to yours?
As far as going into the military and then transition to civil service?
Yes.
I would say if the military is what you want to do, go for it. And there's hundreds and hundreds of jobs. But what I would tell you this, if you do choose to go into the military, find something, try to get into a career field that's easily transferable to civilian life. That's what I would tell any young person or anyone interested in going into the military. Try to get into a career field that's easily transferable to the civilian life, like IT, something in the medical field, like a radiation technologies, something along those lines. Contract specialists, in the military. Everybody needs contracting acquisition professionals, so you shouldn't have too hard of a time making that career once you get out. But that would be my recommendation. Find something or try to get into something while you're in the military that's easily transferable to the civilian life. That will make your transition much more easier once you decide to get out. If you do 4 years, 8 years, or make it a 26-year career like I did, that would be my recommendation.
Awesome. And what would you recommend to students in helping them articulate those skills that they picked up, that experience that they gained while in the military, to help make sense of what that career might transfer into outside of the service?
Repeat that question.
So what would you recommend, or what advice would you give to a veteran or a student who's interested in the military on articulating those skills, making sense of, air traffic control and the work that they did in air traffic control, how they can speak to that on a resume and in an interview so that they can advocate for the career that they desire?
I would say while you're in, take some technical writing courses. Invest in yourself. There's a lot of information on YouTube, internet. Go to those career fairs. Go to whatever it is out there that's being offered to help you articulate what you want to do, to help transfer your skill set, to put it on paper, because that's your first in, is what they see on paper before they meet you, and it has to speak to your skill set. So, invest in yourself, take some writing courses, go to some classes, especially if you're in the military, or if you're in, go to the Family Support Center when they offer resume writing classes, go to those type of things. Transition assistant program. They have classes that teach you how to put what you do on paper that will resonate with a civilian, someone in the civilian world who doesn't speak that military language.
Awesome, thank you, thank you. And does the VA office offer these, or can these services only be found on military bases?
Actually, no. I believe the VA may offer some classes. You have in some cities a thing called Workforce Solutions. You can go there and they offer those services. Transition. I have a friend that works for the USO, and his whole job is transitional service. So it's just not on the basis. It's just not the VA. There's a lot of organizations out there that offer these services to veterans.
Thank you. What has been your biggest lesson that you've learned in your experience in the military, and how has that lesson helped you in your civilian career?
My biggest lesson that I learned in the military that helped me in my civilian career, I would have to say it goes back to dealing with people. I think that's the biggest lesson I learned, is how to deal with, especially as a first sergeant. I dealt with a lot of people from all ages, from 18 to 55. But you treat people how you want to be treated, and I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned that helped me. You get more, as the saying goes, you get more flies with honey than vinegar, something like that. So you be nice to people. I mean, treat them be respectful, and that's the biggest lesson that I've learned.
Awesome, awesome. Respect goes a long way, and I do think you got the saying right as well. Shifting to your MBA, you have an MBA in project management. One of our audience members wants to know what class or classes did you enjoy most while obtaining your MBA?
Oh wow! I got MBA back in 2013, so it's been quite a few years. But I did remember one class where we had a project where I believe we were a tennis shoe company, and we had to develop a plan and how we was going to market our tennis shoe brand, and how we was going to sell it, how we was going to scale it, who we was going to bring in as people to endorse it, how much we was going to pay them. So we had to do a whole project on how we was going to basically sell out tennis shoes. We was a tennis shoe company. So that was pretty interesting on that. And then I think for my last paper, I had to do a business plan. And at the time I was doing some mediation. I had attended a mediator course. So my thought process was to start my mediation business. And so that's what I did. I think it was my final paper on my business plan for my mediation business. So,
what was the name of your shoe company?
I can't remember.
Okay.
It's been a while.
All right. I know you and we have touched a bit in previous conversations about veteran services and the treatment of our veterans. We know that homelessness amongst veterans is a big thing. It's a big deal. It is something that is a cause for concern when people go into the military to protect the nation, but end up being put at a disadvantage or falling through the cracks once they get out. We have a question from the audience. They want to know what should the branches do that they aren't doing now to prepare their service people for life after the military, that they could be doing better, or that just doesn't exist?
What can the branches do to prepare their members? I think there's a lot of opportunities out there for people to take advantage of while they're in, to prepare them for life after. You have to take advantage of what's there. Some people do, some people don't. I believe all the branches do a great job of putting that information out, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. And you know, we've been at war for the past, since what, 1990, pretty much. Since 1990, we've been in a state of war until, I'm not gonna say until recently. You got to seek help. Some of the folks that's out there that may be homeless may have sought help, may have got turned away and then decided not to go back. Some of that may be the case, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of, the military in general offers a lot of help to veterans to help prepare them for life after. And it's incumbent upon the individual to seek those opportunities, seek the help they need to hopefully avoid them from getting into being in a homeless situation. Yeah.
And to speak to the brief period that you experienced from once you retired and then transitioning into the workforce, that gap period, what helped you get that transition outside of connecting with, you know, your peers that were already making that transition into the civilian life? What other resources did you seek out that were helpful to you?
Oh, I went to, like I said, Workforce Solutions. Funny story is I kind of retired twice. I was retired once, then while I was on my terminal leave, I got promoted. So I went back in, well, I stayed in on the Air Force payroll and then did it again 18 months later, retired again. But I went to Workforce Solutions. I went to a lot of job fairs. I went to the Family Support Center to the transitions, the TAP classes they had. So I did all that to try to ease my transitions, because after 26 years, that's all you know. It's a little scary, you know. It's a little scary, especially when you don't have something solid lined up and you trying to figure it out. Okay, what I'm gonna do now? It can be a little scary and a little excuse me, a little challenging for some folks, especially those folks who are in those, I want to say, uniquely military career fields. Like if you're in the army, you are a gunner, on a tank gunner, you know, something like that. Or if you're in the Air Force, you are a boom operator on a KC-135 that refuels airplanes. Those are not transferable skills into the civilian world. So if you did that your whole career, it could be a daunting task figuring out what you're going to do afterwards. But you got to go. You have to go. It's important that you go to the Family Support Center or whatever service center was on the base. I know different branches call it different things, but whatever service support center that they have, you know, go to those classes. If you get out, go to Workforce Solutions. You know, go to whatever organization offers classes and support to veterans to get that knowledge to help you ease your transition. Absolutely.
And to piggyback on what you said, Dad, like you mentioned that there are services here. You kept emphasizing the services available for veterans specifically to make these transitions For students on college campuses, especially at UHD, we have a veteran service office where all they do is, outside of helping you get your paperwork processed for paying for school, it is a community that helps you make those transitions into school life, into civilian life, into your home life. These services are imperative to getting you reacclimated to civilian life. 26 years, that, that's a whole new world to you outside of the military. So utilize them to the best that you can to help you. So I thank you for stressing the importance of spaces that are catered to serve veterans, because they're out there.
Yes, make them work for you. That's why they're there. I mentor students here at a local high school, and I tell my students all the time, say, make your teachers teach you. That's what they're there for. If you're not understanding something, make them teach you. But it's coming upon you to seek that help. If you feel you're not getting it. So make those people who work in those service organizations, make them do their jobs.
Absolutely. Make us work for you. We have another question from the audience, and shout out to another Air Force baby like myself. Both of their parents were stationed in the Air Force, in the Air Force and stationed in Turkey as well along their journey.
Okay, that's good.
Mr. Rosebrough, that it took you 10 years to obtain your first degree.
Mm-hmm.
Ever get discouraged or depressed along the way while you were seeking your degree? And what kept you focused and determined to finish?
I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't get discouraged. I did, trying to take 2-3 classes to finish up. I did get a little discouraged, but I had good classmates, and that we leaned on each other, helped each other get through. What kept me focused was that was something that I wanted to achieve. I have one brother, and when he was in school, when he was in college, he's younger, he's 7 years younger than me. And he was the first one in my immediate family to go to college. And while he was in college, he had some hiccups. Well, not really hiccups, but he became a man sooner than he needed to be. And he went on and graduated 4 years, summa cum laude. And I told myself, well, if he can do that, then I can do that too. If he can go through college as a young man, have 2 kids while he's in college and graduate summa cum laude. Although I had 4 kids, I was always working, and I had 3 at the time. But regardless, I had kids. At the same token, I had kids. I can do, if he can do it, I can do it. So, like I said, our motto was, if you start it, you're gonna finish. So that was my determination. It doesn't matter how long, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, as long as you persevere and get it done.
Absolutely. I just keep hearing, I had kids.
Yeah, I had kids.
I had kids. And so, that is, looking at people in your community who are doing it. And if they can do it in their circumstances, that's motivating you to do it. So thank you, Mr. Rosebrough, for answering the question, and to our audience member who asked it, thank you so much, because along the way, we do get discouraged, but we have to find the things that will motivate us to persevere, however big or small it may be. If it keeps you going, then let it keep you going until you reach the finish line. I'm going to shift to, you mentioned briefly before that you are a mentor. Why is mentorship important to you?
Oh, wow. Well, mentorship to me is everything. I had mentors throughout my career in the Air Force, and being that I do not have a son. So mentoring these young men at the school that I mentor at is very important to me, because they need to see somebody who's not a rapper. They need to see someone who's not a professional athlete that's successful, for them to believe that I can be successful in something outside of sports and entertainment, and have a wonderful life. You know, so many of our young people today only see what they see on TV and think that's the end all, the be all, and that's all they aspire to be. Whereas we have my mentoring organization, we have, you know, successful Black men from all walks of life, doctors, entrepreneurs, lawyers. We have a judge that we're trying to get into our organization now. They need to see these people so they can say, okay, I don't have to be a rapper, or I don't have to be an NBA or NFL player to be successful in life. And I think it's time we need to get that mindset out of the minds of our young people, that that's the only path that they need to take to be successful.
Absolutely. Did you have any mentors along the way that you could think of that really played an impactful role in your education, or your military and your civilian career now, your contracting career now?
Yeah, I've had several mentors throughout my military career, who I could go to and say, hey man, I'm dealing with this. You know, how do you navigate through this space? I can remember one guy who was in Hawaii. One of my supervisors' name was Jerry Smith. He was a very good mentor of mine, and you know, I still reach out to him. I still can reach out to him now and today. And you know, I've had mentees, guys that I mentored while I was in the military. They reach out to me all the time, to this day, for for guidance and questions, and you know, just to talk. You know, I know one guy, and y'all know who it is actually. We call him Q, but he was a young airman with some trouble when he came to Okinawa, and I was a supervisor, so I helped him through that. And throughout the years, you know, he'll call me up out of the blue, say, hey, Sergeant Rose. He still call me that. I don't know why, but hey, look, man, I'm testing for this grade. What should I do? All right, man. You know what you gotta do? Study. You know, make that sacrifice. You know, explain to your wife, hey, I gotta make this sacrifice because I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help us. Yeah. So I have a lot of mentors, a lot of mentees who still reach out to me, and I still reach out to some of mine as well.
And I know that you are an avid reader. So what have been some books that you recommend to students that they read now to develop themselves professionally, whether it be as a mentor, as a leader? What are some of your book recommendations?
Well, fortunately, I don't read too many books about leadership and that stuff anymore. I read a lot of books about African-American history and things of that nature. So those are the things that I'm interested in. However, there are some good books out there. I can't think of the name of the guy right now. It'll come to me in a minute. There's a lot of good books out there on leadership, Mentorship. I can't think of that guy's name. Who does the 7 Habits guy?
I don't know who it is. It's been recommended before, and I have not
Yeah,
catch the name, but the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
right. I
Gotcha.
can't think of his name off the top of my head, but that's his book series is phenomenal. When I was in the military, I did read some of those. Stephen Covey, that's it, Stephen Covey. So I would recommend reading some of his books.
Okay. And you said that you're into African American history. What African American history books are you reading up on or have read up on recently?
Oh, I've read Michelle Alexander's book.
Miseducation of the Negro?
No, I think Michelle Alexander is the new Jim Crow.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh,
Miseducation of the Negro. That's
Woodson.
not Michelle Alexander.
Okay.
I'm reading now a book by John Hope called The Memo. And you see my library. I have a whole lot.
Okay.
But that's where my interest lies right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Alrighty, so I'm looking at some more of my questions. We have been in the pandemic for the past almost 2 years going on now. How has COVID-19 impacted your job or the workforce of contract specialists?
So since COVID hit, I went from going into the office every day to working from home. And the military, teleworking is not a core military function. They want you to come in. They want to see you, be able to touch you. So that's been a transition as an institution-wide. That's been a huge transition for the military, and specifically in my particular job, because the leadership didn't think that we would be as successful in being able to execute as we have been over the past 18 months. So it's been a huge transition with technology, getting accustomed to doing MS Teams or Zoom or Skype, meetings using those platforms, going to work. Right now I go to work maybe 2 days a week, and the other time I work from home. So just being able to manage those nuances has been very challenging, especially the technology piece, because sometimes you be ready to get things done, and then your computer freezes up or you get kicked off the net. Yeah, it can be challenging.
Okay. And have you been able to navigate the technology piece pretty?
I like Zoom better than I like MS Teams.
Okay. Same.
But yeah, I've been managing. We have a little device the device that I use connects me to, so just like I'm working from my desktop in my office.
Okay. Awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
Alrighty. And then I know you mentioned that, in the military field, IT contract, cybersecurity is marketable, that the military is looking for recent graduates who are interested in these fields. Excuse me. Where can students go to get connected to these internships, these job placement opportunities?
If you're in that field, I would say one place you can start is USA Jobs. USA Jobs, any federal job should be posted on that, and you can type in internship, contracting, IT internships. That's one place you can go to. That's probably the only one that I know of. I'm sure there's more, but that's the one that readily comes to my mind.
Okay.
I know there's a, if you're in like the finance field, there's a program, I believe it's called Palace Acquire. Yeah, Palace Chase, Palace Acquire. Those are two programs if you're in that finance field that you can get into. So.
And I'll be dropping the title for the Palace Chase program. I just found it. So I'll drop that in the chat for our audience. So as someone who's involved in many things, do you have any professional organizations that students can get involved in that you would recommend?
I would recommend one. I would highly recommend one. If you have a fear of public speaking, I would highly recommend there's a professional organization called Toastmasters. I would highly recommend that to everyone who, if you had that fear of public speaking, giving speeches, I would recommend that organization to get involved in that. Any organization that promotes individual growth, self-help, entrepreneurship, utilize those organizations. But Toastmasters is one that, I mean, a lot of people, they think it's easy to get them speaking in front of hundreds of people, but it's not.
It's not. It is.
It's not.
It's not at all. All righty, Mr. Rosebrough. Well, those are all the questions that I have for you.
Okay.
Any of our audience members, if y'all still have questions, we have about 30 more minutes. Please feel free to ask away. Then,
hey, Ashley,
I
would like to mention one thing. I know someone asked me the question about, what kept me motivated while I was going through my bachelor's degree. And another thing that kept me motivated was that I had an aunt who was in her 60s who was going to school, and she was getting her bachelor's degree. So that kind of helped me, that kind of motivated me as well. Like, my aunt can do it in her 60s. She made that decision to go back to school. Hey, what was stopping me?
Absolutely.
So I guess a little bit peer motivation, competition.
Okay.
Competition is a great motivator.
Absolutely, it is. And shout out to our Aunt Pat, who did her bachelor's and her master's at Morgan State as an adult learner. We have a couple of students in the ATA program who are adult learners. They're grandparents, and their parents doing their degrees with their children right now, or see their children's children doing it. And it is a you really get to see it does take a village. It is a community effort. It's a generational effort to want and to desire to get your degree to finish. And if this is something that you wanted to do it. You can do it. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it gives me warm feelings inside when I see like parents and their babies and grandparents come in and they tell me about their children and they tell me about why they're doing it. And it's community in like one of its purest forms of in education. So it is exciting. And shout out to our aunt. Friendly competition is no problem at all because everybody gets to win. Everybody runs their own race, so yeah.
Yep.
Dad, I think that's the first time I called you during this whole time. It'll be still very,
it's all right.
to young people like myself who are in their career, what are some things that what advice would you give to us right now? As you know, as we are in our careers, retirement, benefits, buying homes, all these things, like if you could give us any advice, what would it be?
I would say plan your retirement now. You know, years gonna go by like this. Time gonna move quickly. So, you know, begin with the end in mind. If that's financial, if you know you want to retire at a certain age and have a certain amount of finances, you gotta start that plan and those habits. You gotta start those habits now. You know, Ashley, you're roughly what, I'm not gonna mention your age, but you're almost hitting that next decade mark very soon here. So, you know, if 30 years from now you wanna say, hey, I'm done with working, you got to develop those financial habits now, and start planning for your retirement now. You know, do some investing, do some you know, savings, investing, and invest in yourself. You know, make those decisions. You know, make those sacrifices. You know, I think that's the big thing. Is sometimes you gotta make sacrifices, and I think a lot of young people, they don't want sacrifice. You know, they want it now. You know, I don't want to wait 15 years for. I want it now. You know, but some things don't come that quick. If you're looking to buy a house, there's a lot of first-time buyers programs out there for you. I would say definitely buy a house. You know, for the tax benefits and just for ownership. And if you're looking at generational, that's something that you could possibly pass down to your kids. You know, in your career, hey, learn all you can learn in your particular job. You know, that would make you more marketable. You know, sometimes what they say, you promote yourself out of a position, which ain't always bad, but sometimes it could be detrimental. But learn all you can learn about every facet of the position you're in. You know, but definitely, since, you know, definitely for you students who are in your mid to late 20s or early 30s, start planning for your retirement. Start planning for your retirement now. You know, it's never too late, but the sooner you do, the better off you'll be later on in life.
Absolutely.
And I think it was I thought I saw one lady on here saying that they was a grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She could probably attest that, hey, you know, start early. You know, there's always time to party. You know, take care of yourself first. You know, take care of yourself first, and, you know, do what you want to do later.
Absolutely. I think Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else so you can live like no one else.
You can live like no one else. Yep.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Mr. Rosebrough, thank you so much again for taking this time to join us in the ATA program to share your journey, your experience with us. I greatly appreciated that, as always. I look forward to our deck talk in next week, as talking and eating. But thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment to finish and to build a life for me and my sisters and my mom, and just your sacrifice, because you know, it is a true testament to who you are, and you've given me so many gifts that I can use in the work that I do today. And with that being said, to all of our students, everyone who attended today, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, to be with us. If you have any further questions for Mr. Rosebrough, please get in contact with him. I'll drop his email in the chat, and you're more than happy to connect with him about military questions, about starting your transition into civilian service for the military or whatever else it may be. If you're looking for a new mentor, you know, you have a connection now. But I thank you all for joining us today. Yeah, the CLC survey will be out in about 20 minutes. It'll be coming to you via email. Please share your experience with us, what you gained from the event, what you would like to see for future programming. And yeah, do you have any parting words?
Yes, I would just like to say thank you, Ashley, for thinking of me to share my experiences with your students. It's been an honor and a pleasure to do so. And if y'all have any questions that you know, if Ashley give you my email, feel free to contact me. It was nice to be a part of this forum. And once again, Ashley, thank you for the opportunity.
No problem, no problem. Everybody, y'all have a good day. Y'all stay safe, take good care, and be well. Bye.